handful. And of that, only a few of them are really high quality. So I'm really glad that we're getting this kind of push for the more party-based tactical RPGs again. Because stuff like when Dragon Age Origins came out, I was like, yes, good. And now we're finally getting some indies to pick up on that. Like our cover story for August, There Came an Echo, is a squad-based RPG like XCOM style, and it's really worth checking out. I'm really excited for it just because of the genre. Like we really need more of those in the indie scene.
Yeah. I'm also. It's interesting to have such a close eye to the industry and see all the trends. And it's. I like that we're coming out of the roguelike forest for the fact that we're getting like new games and that kind of thing. But I'm also kind of missing all the roguelikes that were coming out because I like roguelike games.
I don't know. I'm not going to say too much, but I'm not the biggest fan of roguelikes, so I'm glad to see the genre kind of quiet down for a few years, hopefully.
Yeah. It'll flare up again later, but all I need is Binding of Isaac Rebirth to come out, and then I'll be good with the roguelikes. Also, we need to get them on Average Giants, because I just want to talk to Edmund.
We'll work on that. We'll work on it. Roguelikes and voxel games, I'm kind of ready to move on to something new for a while and then get back to them.
I'm going to enrage chat here, but I've actually never really been a fan of Minecraft, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't say that I've ever really played it for more than 2 minutes, so I can't really judge one way or the other.
No, you've seen the entire storyline and seen all the game features. Don't worry about it.
But anyway, I think that's going to wrap up our news segment, right?
Yeah.
Did you miss anything?
Nope.
All right.
That was a good news segment too. I want to start off the Kickstarter videos with, let's say controversial. I like where the direction of this video is going, but it is going to be a little bit controversial for some people. It's called The Sun Also Rises.
Before we hit play on the video, let me also just say that starting in September, when we're working more often with Kickstarters to promote their campaigns, we're probably going to have at least one per week on the newscast that's like IGM sponsored directly.
Oh yeah.
In that we have magazine tiers. So we're going to add that to the Kickstarter preview segment. There'll be one in particular that we're promoting directly, and then the rest are just Kickstarters that we're a fan of and we think that you should keep an eye on.
I like that. I like that. It's kind of the natural evolution of what I think this newscast should be. Eventually, when we're all making millions of dollars, we'll be backing people when we show them off too.
I'm just going to be making games. You'll be backing my games, guys.
Okay, I'll hit play here. Check this out.
The Sun Also Rises is a narrative adventure game that bridges the gap between the average person and the experiences lived in the global war on terror. We feel that there's a need to expand in this area and make a game about war that's authentic and about things that people are going through right now.
We want to explore a lot of different perspectives from people in the war on terror. Be it soldiers coming home and struggling to adapt, or Afghan civilians experiencing people coming into their home and trying to change their way of life.
For the past year, I've been interviewing active duty soldiers and veterans and hearing their stories and the kinds of things that they want to say. With Kickstarter, we can expand on that and interview people from Afghanistan as well.
By exploring your environment and talking with the people around you, become a part of the characters' lives and shape their stories.
We already have a beautiful aesthetic, compelling story, and innovative gameplay. With your help through Kickstarter, we'll be able to improve our art, complete our narrative, and reach out to interview subjects from all over the world.
The Sun Also Rises will be released in 2015 on PC, Mac, Linux, and Ouya.
Check out our rewards below, and please back us. Your support means everything to us. Thank you.
So, The sun also rises. Thoughts?
Very interesting. It's certainly going to be a hot topic and a hot issue, and I am guessing that's part of the point. They wanted to shine some attention to, maybe not necessarily create controversy, but create something that was going to be a hot topic of discussion.
Yeah. It's like I always come back to Spec Ops: The Line, which is a AA title, really. But it's good to kind of delve into the negative aspects of war. We always see Call of Duties or something like that where you grab a gun and you're going around playing the hero by, popping off countless amounts of enemy soldiers or something like that. But I find not enough video games focus on the impact of like what being a soldier is, or the impact of what war can be on a person or people.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be a good year for that. I don't know if you got to play Valiant Hearts, the Ubisoft game, one of the games running UbiArt framework. But I thought that was a great idea too. It really kind of handled the issues of being a soldier and kind of the World War I era in a way that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, it's good that we're starting to get some more focus with that. It's games like this and Valiant Hearts and Spec Ops that are going to change the medium of gaming from something that our kids do to something that everybody can do, that we actually learn something from, like art, like the same way that films or graphic novels have gone.
Yeah. Now I'm really interested in this. I'm going to be honest. I don't really 100% understand how this passive multiplayer works. So you make decisions that are saved to the cloud, and it affects the gameplay for future players. But I'm not exactly sure how it integrates with. You're playing with everybody at once. You're playing with 3 people. How many people are you playing with?
That's something I was a bit unclear to as well, and it's something I wanted to touch on. That it sounds like a really unique feature, which always draws me to the Kickstarters. However, the execution, I would actually have to see with that one, because
because I understand that there's 3 classes. There's the medic, the agent, and the boy. I know that it's like a third-person exploration, but I'm kind of curious how your decisions affect the story.
Yeah.
Because if it's like instancing, like in an MMO, and you just at a certain point, and then the decisions other people made have affected you up to that point. If you play the game, say 2 months later after the game already comes out and everybody's played it, is there like a set path for you to take based on everybody else's decisions?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's an interesting feature that may impact their own lasting appeal.
Yeah. I'm curious to see. I mean, we might talk to these devs. We'll think about it, because I am curious about this game and I do want to learn more about it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they have to say.
I really enjoyed the. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say they're also on Steam Greenlight, I believe.
Yes.
So you can check that out if you think it's a good idea. Give them a vote on Greenlight.
Yeah, I like the style. I think the color palette is really interesting. It's very, very warm. And I like the pixely style. They kind of took their engine and embraced it that way.
Yeah, no, it certainly looks beautiful. Absolutely, I do like the design a lot. I think it really kind of resonates for a story like this. The art matches kind of the tone. So I think that I have no problem with at all. I think it looks great.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, moving on. Next one I wanted to talk about. This one I have seen all over the place. It's called Raise the Dead.
Yeah, before when I was prepping for the newscast last night, I actually selected this Kickstarter because it caught my eye, and then I looked in the sheet and saw that it was already added, and I was like, oh, good.
Well, I'm always curious to see how Kickstarters can fund themselves in the first couple days. This one still has 28 days to go, and at this point, you're really just helping them get stretch goals and pre-ordering the game.
Yeah, how about that? It already funded with 28 days to go. Now, I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan of zombies, so you kind of have to do something a little bit unique or different to make me pay attention to anything zombie-related. And so when I watched the video for this Kickstarter campaign, I thought it was pretty funny, and I was entertained by it, and I thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, well said. That being said, let's see what we're talking about. So I feel like the music, at least that song, feels to me like a mix between Michael Jackson's Thriller and the Ghostbusters theme song.
I was just gonna say, like, when I first watched the campaign, all I could think about was, man, if they had the license to Thriller, this would be so much better. I mean, the music's great, but I just wanted it so badly to be Thriller.
It looks amazing though. It's got that style that we haven't seen it in a while. Like it's braid, is what that reminds me of. It looks cool. It's kind of that 2D painterly style.
Yeah, I love the 2D characters in a 3D world. I think it looks awesome. I like the idea, like the mechanics themselves. I think it's an awesome idea of using, like resurrecting, people in the environment to solve puzzles and for combat purposes.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to have like a pack of zombie minions. Because I think Pie Man said in chat, there aren't too many games where you get to play as the zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in like an adventure puzzle type setting where there's combat involved. So it's a really cool idea. I kind of got like a sense of like Overworld where you could have a bunch of minions that you were commanding. And I was like, I'm really interested in it. I am. So I think it's going to be cool.
Definitely. I also like the fact that they're focusing. It's very story and oriented. So like, and I'm not sure if you guys saw a couple of the clips there. It looks like you're also playing before Ray is dead. So you're figuring out what happens to him before he becomes a zombie, as well as what happens to him afterwards. So I think it'll be an interesting storyline that way too.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if they add any stretch goals after the initial ones, because I mean they have almost a month left, and I don't know. I mean, I'm sure maybe a good percentage of the backers were previous backers who just are still interested in the project, but that's still an amazing achievement to be funded, within a day or so of a campaign.
Jake Kaufman, we need to look him up because he's an amazing composer. The music is awesome.
Yeah. Well, speaking of music, this is a little off topic. I'm going to tangent for a moment, but we are covering Game Music Connect, the conference that was co-founded by John Broomhall, who did the music for Transport Tycoon, among other things. And so I actually got the chance to talk to an entire panel full of composers. They're hosting their own panel for Game Music Connect, including Jessica Curry from the Chinese Room. And so we're turning, I haven't really announced it yet, but you guys can keep a secret, I guess. So September, the IGM Interviews segment is going to transition into something I'm calling the Composer's Corner, and it's going to be interviews with composers all month long.
Oh, wow, I'm excited.
Yeah, and we have some big names. John Broomhall was the first to kind of kick it off this month, but next month it's going to be all composers all the time, and we got some really big names, so it's definitely something to keep your eye out for.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's after my schooling, after I got my degree, my musical taste completely changed to where I'm much more interested in scoring now. So my iTunes is full of music scoring and game scoring. So I'm going to be watching that for sure.
Yeah, I love game soundtracks in general. I think so many of them are so beautiful. So yeah. I'm always interested to hear more about game composition.
And underrated, I find. They're always underrated.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a good year, especially for the indie scene. From BAFTA nominations to BAFTA winners. We're kind of, indies in particular, but game music in general is finally starting to get a lot of recognition. Really great that there's so many traveling orchestras that perform. There's usually at least 2 or 3 each year that travel and just perform game music. So it's getting up there. It's not as widespread as I'd like it to be, but it's certainly doing better than it was, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually the song that we use for the intro in our streams too comes from not an indie developer composer, but just a fan that made a game called the Not a Game Collection that came out a couple of months ago when I interviewed him. Yeah,
made an album, not a game.
Album. It's early here.
Yes.
And it's an album inspired by indie music, and so it's just going to show you that the indie music scene is starting to get a little bit more exposure and love, which I think they really need. Also, I want to say, Pie Man in chat is saying Jake Kaufman, that did the music for Raise the Dead, also did Shovel Knight, Blood Rain Betrayal, Double Dragon Neon, and Mighty Switch Force. So
it's an impressive backlog.
Yeah.
It's wow. That's some great games.
That's the music in Blood Rain Betrayal is what made me describe the game as a gorchestra.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's cool. That's awesome. I love his work, and I'm going to look up more of him. Next up, we have a shoot 'em up, a fantasy shmup.
I really like the style of this one. This is a good video.
Yeah, totally. It's really cute. But I'll just hit play here. We can chat about it after.
Okay.
That was good. That was good. I was looking. I was like, "Oh, Tree Stash! What a cute name!" And then I was like, "Why were you fighting Tree Stash? What's going on?" And then they said dual former allies, and I was like, "Wait, that man is riding a gorilla."
Yep. Yep.
This game is great.
I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot to please me. If your game has either dragons or griffins, I'm in. So they had me right from the opening picture. I was like, yeah, I'm going to check this one out. Shmups never really go out of style, but there's a lot of effort and work being put into this one. It looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. The bosses are cool. The characters are cool. It's as far as shmups go, this one really caught my eye.
Yeah, the gameplay looks good. I like that they had like different weapons that you saw there, as well as kind of an interesting look at a lot of classic fantasy things. One of the things I liked was the beholders, and they were doing like the typical beam across the screen, and like beholders in Dungeons and Dragons have the eye stalks that normally shoot the beams. So that's a really intelligent way to throw them into a shoot 'em up.
Yeah, it's I really just think the art looks great. I'm having a hard time getting past it. I really like the way the game looks in motion. But yeah, so they're really not looking for too much money. They're almost funded. Hopefully they get that final push. They have a week left to go. But
yeah,
the goal was only 18,000, which is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it makes me think that the game is probably already partially, if not mostly, built. Before, and they probably just needed to finish it off, because I usually say, I'm looking at Kickstarters a lot lately, and for an indie game, I usually say like 30 grand seems to be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So I'm betting that they're just finishing it off.
I would love. I mean, there's only a week left, but it's a shame that their co-op stretch goal is so far down. They're looking for 100K for it.
Yeah.
Co-op would be a lot of fun for this one, but I'm hoping they at least get to the additional stages. They have stretch goals for a 7th stage and an 8th stage.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it goes, though.
Design a stage. I'm also never a fan of Kickstarters where the high-end Kickstarters are like, help design the game with us. It's hard to do that properly.
It depends on what you're doing. If it's just like, we'll put yourself as an NPC, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But if you're designing like, a stage or like an area of the map or any type of your own mini quest, those kind of tend to be a bit more work than you anticipate.
Yeah, this one is designing a boss. Oh, a full stage. A full stage with boss, environment, and enemies. So that's a lot of work. What tier is that? Is that that's the final tier? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money for the dev team, but they're going to burn a lot of money just in resources and back and forth. But we'll see. They're almost there.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to this one. I'm pretty sure they'll get funded. A week left with 1,500 to go. They've got a very, very high chance of getting funded. So.
Yeah.
This next one looked really interesting to me. Mostly, I'm a fan of these types of games. I wasn't. It's called Caverns of Travancore, and it's a dungeon kind of roguelike game. I was never a fan of these types of games until I started hosting Average Giants. And we have had some epic, like, dungeon crawling roguelike games that have just completely turned me around. Mm-hmm. So, this one, I don't think it's going to get funded, unfortunately. He's already making the game. It's got the exact same goal as last time. 10 days to go, and he's missing a lot.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I really haven't heard anything about this game. Before we started prepping for the show, I had no idea it existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I guess we're supposed to help with that, but I just didn't find it.
I mean, we can help as much as we can. I put this, I wanted to show this off today because it's kind of saying, like, even if we have people like the Indie Game Magazine trying to help Kickstarters, you still have to promote yourself, and I find a lot of people fall short when they don't promote themselves. And this guy, I haven't heard anything about him. You haven't heard anything about him. And I think it's a lot of the fact that he didn't reach out to promote anywhere. He just kind of threw up a Kickstarter and went, here you go.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion. We could talk for an hour and a half about that on its own. But self-promotion is a big kind of hurdle for a lot of indies. We're kind of trying to help break that stigma. A lot of indies think that maybe their game, can't compare to the juggernauts in the industry, so why bother at all? But you can't think like that. You have to be proud of your work, and you have to be willing to, nag the outlets and just be like, hey, we exist. So even if you don't get a response, that doesn't mean that your game's no good. It just means that I got 500 other emails this week, and I'm trying to go through them all, and sometimes stuff just slips through the cracks. But you got to stay passionate, and you got to stay focused. You got to stay self-motivated, really, in the indie scene. You really have to be able to pick yourself up and kind of push yourself. Because if you lose faith in yourself, it's hard to find somebody else to help pull you back up.
Yeah, and people can help you along the way, but nobody can make it happen except for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, I wanted to talk about the video for this after. Because I watched so many Kickstarter videos in the last 6 months, I have started to become a bit of a Kickstarter video connoisseur. And this one is only 56 seconds long, which is my first problem with it.
Yeah.
But we'll chat about it after we watch it.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm the lead designer of Caverns of Travancore. It's been a project of mine for about a year now, but up until recently it's become a playable version. I contacted James from Jomo Games, who I'd worked with before, and he was keen on the project, and so this is what we've created so far. Currently we've only got one of the 4 main classes in the game, and need help getting the rest in, plus all the enemies. So we've launched a Kickstarter and our Steam Greenlight campaign at the same time. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy what we've created so far.
Poof! Video over!
Yeah, Ardoin was saying in chat, even the camera work for the video, the camera was a little bit too low. You couldn't see the top half of his face.
Yeah, so that was off the... I mean, you can tell he doesn't do many videos, and he was trying to sound excited for the game, but he wasn't excited to be on camera.
Yeah, like I don't... Even watching that video, I really don't get a sense of what it is I'd be backing. Like if I'm gonna throw my money at something, I at least want to know what, have a general idea of what I'm throwing my money at.
Yeah, they showed the game and they announced that they had a Kickstarter and Greenlight, and then that was it. They didn't tell us why we should be backing. They didn't tell us what we were going to be backing, and they didn't tell us like if they had any kind of stretch goals or what they plan to do in the future. So a lot of missing components in that video.
I mean, I like the artwork. I like the general idea from what I've researched just in prepping for the newscast.
Yeah.
I think if he came back, is it a solo dev? I believe he's working by himself. He might have some help.
But if he does, it didn't tell us. Can't see it.
So whatever the case may be, I think this is a situation where you kind of take what you learned for the first Kickstarter and apply it to a second campaign in maybe a month or so. Rework a video, get some more footage out, a playable demo if possible, to give people a better sense of what it is that you're offering.
Especially a game like that where it's the retro by design. Doesn't lead well towards videos. Like, I mean, I've played a lot of those types of games like Dungeon Mans and stuff like that, and I like the style, but for a general Kickstarter video, people that are going to watch that are going to go, this game looks slow, and it's a little bit boring because there isn't any in-game sounds or anything like that. So I think a playable demo would go miles for a Kickstarter like this.
Yeah. But, live and learn.
Yep, live and learn. And hopefully, like, he's got most of it done. So, I mean, I think he'll probably just end up doing a relaunch, and hopefully he learns a lesson from this.
Yeah.
Now, here's another one. Here, let's go the other way, where the video is awesome, but the Kickstarter still isn't going to make it. 71 hours to go. They have less than $1,000 of a $50,000 goal. And 50 grand, that's like between 30 and 50 grand is usually where I say an indie game kind of fits in Kickstarter. And even 50 grand isn't a lot of money to make a video game, but that's kind of where we are in the industry with Kickstarter right now.
Yeah, I mean, for a small team, it's feasible.
Yeah.
If a good portion of the project has already been self-funded. But yeah, it's still not a lot of money when you think about it.
Yeah. That being said, let's talk about watch Wake the Dreamer. I didn't want to talk about it before we actually watch it because it's kind of an interesting game.
Okay.
So we're missing from the video there, like we're shown amazing gameplay, but it's not telling us why they need help backing or et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a really neat looking game. I loved the whole idea of the dream like that. It gives you, as a game developer, it's kind of like Time Splitters in that it gives you a blank canvas of what do you want to make. Do you want to put a James Bond game with, like, I don't know, a Saw-style horror game mixed in with it, and then put, like, a Mario-type platforming? Because with the Dreaming, you can literally do anything.
Yeah. We covered this game back in March. When I first saw it, I was really intrigued by it. And I don't really know why people aren't taking too much of an interest in it. I think it's a unique concept. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe do you think the visuals hold this one back? Because I don't know. I'm not a particular fan of this style of art. For me, I needed, the email had to tell me exactly what the game was and what their concept was for design.
I think that could be a lot of what's happening because that art style is made popular by Super Brothers way back in the day. Sword and Sorcery, amazing game. I just picked it up for my iPhone, which is cool.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
nice.
But I think it's kind of a combination of that. Like, that art style isn't always that popular. Like, you've said that you're not a fan of it, and somebody in chat already said that they're not a fan of it. So, right from there, boom, you've already got two people that aren't really interested in the Kickstarter because of the graphics. But I also kind of think it's just one of the ones that fell through the cracks, because the art style isn't going to hinder them $42,000.
Yeah, well, I think maybe it's because, like, they have no shortage of coverage. We covered them. Destructoid covered them. A couple other people covered them. People know about this game. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe if it was on Steam, it would do better. Maybe it's because it's a mobile game that's holding it back. I really don't know. I feel like it's a good concept, and something has to be holding it back.
That's interesting. You got the music on there, which I love. But yeah, there's all the press coverage. I mean, I've seen a lot of inexplicable Kickstarters that have failed, where you'd think that they should have done well. Or inexplicable Kickstarters that look like they shouldn't have done well and completely get backed. And sometimes it feels like it's just random chance.
Yeah, I guess sometimes just the stars don't align. Because I don't know, I feel like... See, this is a situation where... I haven't spoken to this dev. I don't know anything about him. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a Kickstarter like this is really discouraging and really demoralizing. And, I feel like he just has to soldier through it, because this is a really good idea. And this is a game that should be made. I think it has an interesting story to tell. I don't know.
There have been some amazing games that were made because of Kickstarter backing. There have also been some amazing games that have been made because they didn't get backed on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I hope he uses it as a motivational tool more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because that $863 is not an accurate representation of people's interest in this game. I think that if this game was out on Steam, I think a lot more people would pay attention to it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So yeah, I just kind of want to show that off because it's a really interesting looking game. I loved how random the dream was from even that short little video.
Yeah. I'll also say, when we first covered it, he sent a lot of GIFs, and this game looks great, even in just short clips. Like, the GIFs were really interesting, too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next one I wanted to talk about is someone that, is this the one? Yeah, look, there's us.
What do you know?
What do you know? It's always nice seeing that. So, this is Data Hacker Reboot. It's a relaunch, and it's already backed because they had a ridiculously small goal.
Yeah.
And it's they'll explain it, but I think it's the third game in the series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of that dot hack or like Sword Art Online kind of storyline that, we can chat about it after.
Yeah.
Hello, and thank you for checking out the campaign for Data Hacker Reboot. The Data Hacker saga began life as a 2D RPG built in the RPG Maker engine. There have been 2 previous Data Hacker titles, Initiation and Corruption, and each one excelled above its predecessor in terms of gameplay, storytelling, and presentation. Data Hacker centers around a complex game world that focuses on what would happen if there were virtual worlds hidden away from view. Imagine a complex simulation, if you will. Completely self-aware entities and a complex structure. In the previous titles, a bridge is crafted between our material world and a virtual world. This bridge took the form of an online video game called Online World. It wasn't long until strange events started taking place, such as the disappearance of the game's players, both avatar and physical forms. And now there are no worlds, only fragments. We call these world fractures. Data Hacker Reboot is an RPG that emulates RPGs of yesteryear. It's an episodic telling of the tale of the world fragments. While the main focus is on the narrative, there is also strong focus on gameplay. Characters can switch classes on the fly, keeping all learned skills intact, and building a repertoire of abilities unique to your own playstyle. To build upon this, each character can connect with a familiar, spirits that were left behind after the cataclysm that shattered the world, which adds yet more complexity to the character customization. Data Hacker Reboot is the culmination of everything that precedes it. It is an epic series of tales that revolves around 7 main characters and their quest for survival. In a reality where murder allows the absorptions of another's life force, there are those who wish to profit from this, and those who simply wish to dominate. And then there are hidden powers, the likes of which can barely be comprehended. You will be tasked with protecting what remains of the shattered world, piecing together an uncertain past, and paving a way for the future. Thank you for watching this campaign video, and hopefully you're interested in what we are trying to achieve.
Arnold, my wife would be so happy with you right now. Hey, Digimon, go Digimon. She still watches that show because it went to Netflix.
Oh yeah, it's like the first 3 seasons.
It's an interesting show.
It doesn't hold up well, unfortunately.
I love how anytime they have something epic, like, oh, he evolved to the most coolest form ever. Cue the awesome music. Go Digimon, hey Digimon. Like, what?
I do want to. We do have to make a small correction for Data Hacker Reboot. It's a planned trilogy. But what this Kickstarter is
robot.
Actually, basically remastering the first 2. Oh,
you went totally
I don't know why that keeps
robot.
happening. So there. Okay, sorry. It might be the microphone I'm using this week is different than my normal one.
It's funny because you're like,
we have
to make a small correction, and it's
All right, so this is actually the reboot is actually a remastering of the first 2 games. The trilogy for Data Hacker is not complete yet. So yeah, this is for the first 2 games were called Initiation and Corruption.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is rebooting. I don't believe they've done the final one yet, which is called... Well, actually, I mean, it was supposed to be called Reboot, so I guess they're just remastering the series.
Mm-hmm.
But this specific Kickstarter is for remastering the first 2 games. Or I guess parts of the game.
I'm in.
Because it's... Yeah.
Honestly, it's a really neat looking game. And
yeah, it's. I mean, it's got that old school Golden Sun style, which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the art. I think the art is good. Even the dialogue, the text boxes, the art for the characters there, it all looks good.
Yeah.
It's definitely a nostalgia kick.
I chose it this week. Actually, I wanted to show off because I know they said it started on RPG Maker. And we did a game last week on Average Giants called Demon's Revenge. I can't remember the full name.
Celestial Tear?
Yeah, Celestial Tear. And Yin, I know you were in chat, but that's a game also done on RPG Maker. And we were chatting about how when you hear RPG Maker, people get a certain stigma. And it's nice to see both Celestial Tier and this game kind of breaking that, as well as another game called Off, which if you haven't checked it out, you should, because that game is unbelievable.
Yeah, I will say another similarity that I noted between this and Demon's Revenge is, or just in general now when we're sort of modernizing these old school RPGs, is the combat is a lot more lively. Like it's not just you choose an attack and it does like a little slash on the screen over the enemy. The characters actually move. The environment is affected by their attacks. It's really cool. It's really, I don't know, vibrant. It feels like the action is actually happening instead of being just turn-based.
Yeah, and while I'm glad that RPG Maker made an affordable way for the industry to revitalize the JRPG, I'm glad to see that now we're getting more and more people that are really utilizing it to make unique and interesting features to help revitalize the JRPG as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
But I believe that's it for my picks.
Yes, that is correct.
So let's go on to Vinny's picks.
Yeah, we'll try. We might not have time to do all 4 of these, but we could definitely start with Sienna Storm.
Yeah, sure thing.
And so Sienna Storm, this caught my eye just because at first glance it's developed by developers of BioWare and Eidos and Obsidian fame. So
wow.
Former lead on Deus Ex was a part of this.
I'm in.
Yeah, right. So the art style is also really unique. We'll watch the video. The video's not too long,
okay.
But you'll get a great sense of what the game is about.
Okay. I want to see why they won 180 grand.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
What do we know? We know everything. Everything said. Everything done. It all leaves signals. Echoes. White noise. A great place to hide. The things I did, they left traces. But few would know what to look for. The things done to me, I could trace back, if I wanted to. But what's being done to you, to all of you, with images, voices, staged events, these signs are hard to see. A name on a wire, an envelope in a truck, signal to noise, 0. What little I know came at a heavy price. They know my real name, and they don't take chances. But in my old unit, we were trained to connect the dots, and all of the dots connect. If you force the right questions, choose the right friends, look everywhere, propel events forward, if you beget your own storm. In signals, noise, deed.
Okay, Sienna Storm, you've got my attention.
Yeah, chat was talking a little bit about why they need Kickstarter if they have so many big names. And I just want to point out that being a big name in the video game industry does not mean you're a rock star like Cliffy B. Especially when it comes to writers and and artists and programmers. These guys, they're not. I don't know how much money you think they make, but it's not that much.
No.
Whatever you're thinking. So when you go indie, depending on what your significant other or living situation is, you have enough money to survive. You don't have enough money to pour tens of thousands of dollars into making a game. And Sandstorm in particular does a great job of. They do have a budget breakdown about most of the way down the page, right before the languages and translations discussion, about how the majority of the money, 100,000 in fact, is going to art alone, because for each scene, it's all hand drawn. So this is a lot of pictures, something in the ballpark of 1,500 pictures for just 30 minutes of game. So it's a ton of work. Each scene takes they say it takes up to 3 to 4 hours. So it's a lot of work, and 180,000 is not really, a dozen people aren't going to live well of $180,000. So this budget is almost entirely for working on the game. And there's associated fees. Kickstarter gets a cut, so a lot of the money goes there. The design and writing and animation, it's all logistically speaking, it's all for the game development. Nobody's banking, $100,000 and buying an island.
And that's on Average Giants. We get a lot of the games that we have come in are ex-AAA devs that are making their passion projects, and it's the same thing. They're like, yeah, I've really been wanting to make this game. I'm glad I met these other people that want to make it with me, because I can't do it alone. Like, I can't survive off of the money that I have, having to make a game full time for like a year before we even see a dollar. It's not feasible. So I mean, that's what Kickstarter is doing for gaming, right? That's in the past you had to propose your game with your studio to big publishers to get it published, but that means that you have to do whatever the publisher wants and get the investors and that kind of thing. And Kickstarter is making it differently, that the investors are the people that want to play the game. So.
Yeah, I mean, game development, I guess it's really like any other business, but the more you get into it, when you're making a game, you think you make the game, you sell the game, and you make your money. But guys, there's a lot of stuff in between, and everybody's looking to nickel and dime you. Everybody wants to, do a service for you in exchange for, a cut of the profits or money up front. Yeah. And it costs a lot of money, a lot more than it should, to make a game. So, that is a high budget, but it's also a reasonable budget for, the amount of talent and the amount of work that's going into something like Sandstorm.
Yep, I completely agree with that, for sure. It looks interesting, and Deus Ex is probably my favorite game ever, like even the originals.
Man. So. The last one, what was the last one called? Human Revolution?
Oh, yep.
Not the mobile titles, but yeah, that Human Revolution in particular, this is just a side story, but I played the entire game, and I didn't think I was going to have time to play it twice, and I knew there was multiple endings, but I wanted to play it once, so I figured I just played on the hardest difficulty, because usually I ramp up, I play on medium, and then I play on hard, and then whatever, but I don't have time for that anymore, so I just went straight to the hardest difficulty, and I didn't find out until, I swear, the last boss fight of the game that you could manually save. I don't know why, I just never found the save option. I swear I played the entire game just going from checkpoint to checkpoint.
Brutal.
And I was like, this game is unreasonable. And I mean, it wasn't honestly too bad. I could have done a lot worse.
Yeah.
I beat the game at a really reasonable time, but I went checkpoint to checkpoint, and until my friend was like, how come you don't have any manual saves? Just looking at my file. And I was like, what are you talking about? He pulled up the menu and he showed it to me, and I was like, wow. I don't even have words right now.
That's funny. We're similar that way. When the game first came out, I mean, I've played a lot of Deus Ex games, or played it a lot, and coming right off the heels of Dishonored 2, I threw it on the hardest difficulty. But whenever there is a moral choice in a game, I have problems making immoral choices. So like with Deus Ex, every Deus Ex has been a non-lethal playthrough, same as Dishonored. So.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before. I'm the same way. Although Dishonored didn't give me my achievement for non-lethal, even though every you know, you can check like the stats and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't kill anybody. It's registered that I didn't kill anybody. Got no achievement for it. So thanks, Dishonored. But yeah, like, I don't like Harvest the Little Sisters in BioShock. My Human Revolution playthrough is, you know, non-lethal. I actually look forward to any time a game tells me that there's a non-lethal option, just because I think it's both a unique challenge and it's just, you know, a personal choice.
Yeah, it promotes well. That's actually, sorry, a small rant, but one of my problems with the game, Watch Dogs, which I was so excited for, and I haven't even bought it yet, they missed such an amazing opportunity. Being a hacking game, you would think that there's a lot of, like, not even non-lethal options, but non-violent options. And one of the things is, like, you can follow criminals and see what their chances to commit a crime. And then once they commit the crime, you can choose to take them down or kill them or blah, 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 blah. But I don't know why they didn't put in there, when the chance of their crime gets high enough, to stop the crime itself before it happens. Like, it would have been a great moral decision for them to put it in there to promote this non-violent gaming. Because I think it's silly that, oh, okay, it looks like he's going to stab that woman in the face. Okay, he stabbed her in the face. Okay, yep, now what do I want to do about it?
Yeah, I wonder, though. See, that's an interesting issue. That's really more of a moral dilemma. And I wonder if that was a conscious choice by the developers. I don't know how many people saw the latest Captain America movie, The Winter Soldier. I'm not going to spoil anything, but you know this much from the trailer. They get into the hot topic issue of, you know, at what point, if you have the ability to be proactive and stop a crime before it happens, is that the right decision? Because, you know, the punishment usually comes after the crime.
Well, and, you know, like nothing bad happened in Minority Report, right?
Yeah, so it's an interesting I think the option should certainly be available.
Yeah.
But I think also that should be a plot point that's addressed from a narrative perspective of, if you're, you know, stopping these crimes that a computer tells you statistically are likely to happen, I mean, who's really the bad guy there? Yeah.
And to that point, even this conversation that we're having here still makes me feel like it's a missed opportunity with Watch Dogs.
Yeah, I certainly think that there should be an option. I just think that it's something that should be tied more to the narrative and not just so freely implemented, because there's definitely a conversation to be had about that.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, Pie's saying that it's there's a show called Person of Interest, which I happen to love, that kind of addresses this sort of issue. But we have 5 minutes left, and I really want to get to a Kickstarter in particular. If you could pull up Nefarious, I think this is a good way to end.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, Wolf. We're sorry, that one of the other ones on that list should be scheduled for Average Giants in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, awesome. Hopefully we'll get to it. We'll try to get to it next week. The video for it is rather long, so we're not going to have time for it tonight.
Yeah. So, Nefarious.
Yes. I think we should just roll the video first, and then we can talk about it.
I am so in.
I was going to start talking about how I like the art, but the truth of it is I can't find a single fault with this game.
No. Right. I was excited for it, and then at the end it comes out like the last boss in Mega Man style, and I was like, oh yeah, it's got, wait a minute. You're the boss.
Yeah, I mean, the art, the music, the premise, this is just firing on all cylinders. I am just, frankly, I'm pissed off that I didn't know about this beforehand, because I would love to be promoting these guys directly, because this game is amazing. And I am rather angry that I didn't hear about it before it was already out, because we should be attaching our magazine to some of these tiers so we can promote this game. In any case, getting to be the villain in an action game like this, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's, a little bit tongue-in-cheek. They're doing it the right way. They're having fun with it.
Yeah, totally.
Which is the best way to do it. But I think the art style is gorgeous. It's got that a little bit of a Mega Man vibe. It's a little bit, it's techno-organic, I guess you could say. There's a lot of robots involved.
With that. I'm so okay with that.
It's just like everything, the weapons, the way it looks in motion, the music. I really just love it. I think it's a great idea.
Perhaps I should reiterate, you're the Mega Man boss. Like it's done. That's it. Just give me that as a video game, and I'm happy. The rest of this is just icing on the cake.
Yeah, there's really just so many ways you could take this. Like, using the princess as a puzzle mechanic of sorts. If you had to pick her up, if you couldn't attack while you were holding her, stuff like that. That's not necessarily the direction they're taking, but just the idea of playing as the villain and having to actually kidnap the princess and the levels being actually taking her from point A to point B is such an interesting idea. And I believe each of the princesses has a unique mechanic about them.
Yeah,
or at least some of them do.
I was just showing, there's the picture with the 5 different princesses, and it looks like they have very unique looks, and so I assume they have very unique levels, and that's probably exactly it.
So it's just, I love everything about it. I do want to note that it's far from the goal, but should they get funded, the $60,000 stretch goal is a musical stage. And I'm personally one of those people who, whenever I'm invested in a TV show and they have a musical episode, I'm all for it. I don't even care if it's good or not. I'm really all for
the... Are you thinking about Buffy right now? Because I'm thinking about Buffy right now.
I'm thinking about Scrubs, and I think they had an amazing musical episode.
Yeah.
But, so I'm all for the musical stage. I hope they hit that. I'd love to see most of the stretch goals, to be honest with you. The Hero Rush mode, the New Game Plus, additional princesses. A co-op mode, is all the way up there at 120,000. They have time if this blows up. All of these stretch goals are things that I want. I would love to see this game in the exact way that the devs are envisioning it, because they have a great idea.
They're 5 days in, they have 17 grand, so that's a good place to be sitting. I don't know if they're going to be getting all of the stretch goals, but I could definitely see them getting a couple for sure, because it's a great video. And it's funny. It's a great video, but it doesn't have to tell us why we're backing it or anything like that, just because the gameplay speaks for itself.
Yeah. I think the campaign does a good job, too. The campaign page itself really gives you a good sense of what to expect from the game.
I really like when they put the platform pictures, right there, so you know exactly what it's coming out for. Bam.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I have high expectations for this game. I'd like to see it do well. I certainly hope that they get the backing that they need.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of game that, it's a unique twist on a genre we're familiar with, and I think this kind of ingenuity and creativity should be rewarded.
Yep, completely agree. So I think, do you want to do any more, or?
We're at 2:30. Yeah, we're on the dot, so I guess we can wrap. We can save the others for next week.
That sounds good, because we have some great ones for next week. And that's a good way to start it.
But I think this was a good capper, so.
Yeah, well done. I like that. Okay.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. I'm glad I got to pop in for a change. It's been too long, and I love doing the show. Sundays are tough for me, but starting in September I can come back, which I'm happy about. So you'll see a lot more of me, guys.
That's awesome. We love having you on the show too. So, and hopefully we'll get back to the 3-person, because I love hanging out with you, but it's no fun if we're not making fun of Bonnie.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, like I said, 3 people is really the sweet spot. I think it gives a good. I think we balance each other out a lot.
Yeah, totally.
So we'll definitely. Yeah, this week was just kind of tough for Bonnie and Kurt. You guys were introduced to a couple weeks ago.
I love Kurt.
Yeah. Starting in September, we'll get back to the regular rotation.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, thanks everybody for coming to join us. Make sure to check out everything that you've seen in the show here, because every game that we show is awesome.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
I pick it to show why it's not awesome. But I mean, if you want to back those, I'm not going to hold it against you.
Hey, listen, we just want to spotlight stuff, good or bad. We want you to know about it. That's
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Exactly.
That being said, you should back Nefarious, no questions asked.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you haven't already, then what are you doing on my show?
But enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and I'm going to let Nick carry you out.
Yeah. We also have some really cool stuff coming on. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. We have a really exciting episode of Average Giants. I don't want to say who we're bringing on, but just make sure to tune in. And until next time, guys, much love, and we will see you all soon.